Good afternoon, Hutchins Honeybees. I'm here. This is Jessica Johnson, the instructional lead teacher. I'm joined with Miss Kim Shaw, our third grade through fifth grade rep for writing cohort, and Miss Melissa Halleck, who's representing kindergarten through second grade. Today we are going to do the redelivery of the writing workshop cohort that we attended back in December. Today's focus is on mini lessons. Your biggest takeaway today is going to be learning tools and strategies that will allow you to still be true to the Bookworms writing program as well as to write score while implementing your Writers Workshop inside your classroom. The resource that we are going to use today and will have access to at school is Jennifer Saravello and the Writing Strategies book.
The model you're seeing is determining where to start a hierarchy of possible writing goals. The 10 goals for teaching writing are arranged in a sort of loose hierarchy. Think of it as a hierarchy of most important to least, or from the simplest to the most sophisticated. Instead, this is a hierarchy of action. For example, if I noticed a child could use support in two areas, say structure and elaboration, I'm inclined to start at the one that's closest to the top, structure, and work my way down, elaboration. Think of that example. Why teach a child to fill her page with details if the details are disorganized and it will make the writing difficult to follow? The hierarchy is largely influenced by my studies, my meaning Jennifer Saravello, with Carl Anderson in his book Assessing Writers, 2005.
Here is an example of how your mini lesson time should be broken down. Your mini lesson should be a total of 8 to 10 minutes. You have independent writing, 25 to 30 minutes, and then you have a time to share at the end, which is 5 to 15 minutes. Remember that the more diverse our students are in the classroom, the more difficult it is to teach a whole group. Every lesson will not look the same for each classroom. What do strategies mean? They are a series of actionable steps. If you were to say to your class, go write, go edit, those are not strategies.
Being intentional when you're planning these lessons is critical. 3 main ideas you should think about and to remember are to keep your mini lessons short, explicit, and focused. Short, meaning focused and streamlined. This is your 8 to 10 minute time frame, and you have one strategy to get taught during this time. Your instruction should be explicit. The how-to ideas, depending on the genre or focused, are based on your grade level writing rubrics. And focused, only teach one idea or strategy per mini lesson. Here are a couple of teacher tips that Ms. Shaw, Ms. Halleck, and myself learned when we participated in the writing workshop cohort in December. Be intentional with planning topics and have rich conversation with your grade levels prior to given instruction. When presenting, make a personal connection to the topics presented. During mini lessons, write in front of your students. Where will they get stuck? Intentionally model this for your class. During model time, this is not question time for students. If you feel like you need to teach more, stop. Don't do it. As a grade level team, mentally script out predictable conversations so that you're able to avoid lengthy mini lessons.
The following is a writing template to help you guide your mini lesson. Each section is divided up to be specific to your mini lesson. The first is your connection. This is only about 30 seconds. This is where you make an analogy, a quick personal story, or provide a collage of pictures to help bring in the idea you're trying to key in on for your mini lesson. The next part is your active engagement. You'll say things like, now you try. For example, you can do some turn and talk times during this. Turn and stop and act it out. Reminder, we are talking, not beginning to write. Students are verbally planning their next step. So in this active engagement, this is all turn and talk, just getting ready to go back and write independently. The third is teach. Today, you'll say things to the students like, today I want to teach you. One strategy you practice. Watch me as I. And then the last part is a link. Writers remember that one way too. This is where you can help them remember what you were trying to teach in that mini lesson. Use mindful repetition of strategy or focus. So using this template will help you to guide your mini lesson and make things more intentional during your time with your students.
Over to the right, you'll see a lesson plan template. This is something that you can use when your grade level is meeting together to plan out your writing mini lessons. This template will be available on Common Drive and Teams in the future. During instruction, teachers' tips for mini lessons. Again, here are some tips that we have compiled together to help you be prosperous within the classroom when pertaining to writing workshop.
It's suggested that you establish writing partners within your classroom. Try to be consistent. They do not have to be ability grouped. And if possible, mini lessons should be in a central location with an assigned partner. For example, most classes have math partners or reading partners. It's suggested that you keep them the same so that they are able to form a relationship with that partner. During assessing time, listen to the conversations between your partners. Teachers may give a sticky note to a student who is struggling, and that be their cue for the student to meet with the teacher during work time.
On your lesson plan template, you'll see the box that says link. During this time, it's the time in which you are reiterating the focus of the day and that mini lesson and what you want the students to do. Just like we do for math, we have hand signals that we can also use during writing time to check for understanding. Thumbs up if you've got it, one finger if you have one idea, two fingers if you have two ideas, and so on and so forth. This is another great tool to use your hand signals for, is to dismiss your students to begin independent writing. Turn and talk is also something that we use throughout the day. This strategy is excellent for writing as well. This is a great time to scaffold your questioning based on the conversations that you hear during this time. Remember that even with scaffolding questions, we want students to continue to respond to their partners and not directly to the teacher. This may be a learning curve, and you may need to teach your students to continue to respond to each other, or if there are questions that are hypothetical and you're just asking them to think about these things. One key thing that we felt was really important during the conference was that when you get to turn and talk, you're wanting to pull back their attention at the height of the sharing moment, similar to the climax of a book. Students are eager to continue, and they're more engaged when their writing begins when you do this.
Some predictable pitfalls of the mini lesson. So some of the things that you want to plan for. Make sure the lesson's not too long. Cut down your demonstration. That's the part where you can scale back some so that you're only focusing on the topic. Ask yourself, how much am I teaching? Is it one topic? Teach one topic or strategy very well. Don't call on every student to share. Keep to the focus. I know personally for me, this is a hard point because I always want to get that feedback during that lesson. But when you want to share out or take the topic somewhere else, stop yourself and then go right back to the topic, always keeping it to one main focus. Another problem teaching is unclear or confusing. Ask yourself, is your teaching a set of actionable steps? And you can do this mentally in your mind to think about a list of action items that you want to bring to the attention of the students during your mini lesson. Can you name your teaching point in a sentence or two? Have you overthought it? Does your demonstration anticipate the kind of work students will do? Is it over their heads? When you take it off topic, that tends to go over their head. So always keep your mini lesson and watch your modeling to what you want the kids to take away and go do independently.
Here we have a short YouTube video that goes over the Writing Strategies book. The author here goes through each component in detail about what it's for and how it is used. This video will be available to you in Common Drives. This next video here also shows a snippet from the book. This lesson is lesson 1.7, and the strategy is to look back and say. This is for students who are emergent writers to kindergarten. This video here is not of the actual lesson, but gives an idea of how to model for students. Just like for the Writing Strategies book, there's also a Reading Strategies book, and here the author is going over one of those reading strategies, but as you'll notice, it is very similar to the writing strategies. So when we're looking at these pictures that students who are emergent writers up to kindergarten, maybe even first grade, are doing, you're talking to them about these specific things. This look back at their pictures and to say. This next video is of lesson 6.22, and it's to support your writing with facts. This is appropriate for students in grades 2 through 8. Again, this video here is not the actual video of the lesson being taught, but again, something very similar, and it gives you a good idea of how this lesson should be taught. Here is a sample lesson plan. This is an actual lesson plan from the booklet. It's lesson 3.1, titled Important People, relevant for grades K through 8. In this, we did this lesson at our writing cohort back in December, and you can see where we sat down together and we went over each of the components we talked about earlier: the connections, the teaching, the active engagement, and the links. This is a lesson that I do feel very confident that you would be able to take back to your classroom today and do this with your class or amongst your grade level to give us some good feedback about how you think these strategies might be appropriate for your classroom. One of the things that we did during this lesson at Dugan, instead of doing important people, we also changed the topic to important places. And so things like that can be easily adapted to fit the needs of your class and the genre of your writing. Lastly, we ask for feedback. Each team will need to complete the feedback form that's given to you at a later date and then return to me, Jessica Johnson, by February 2nd, 2022. Kim and Melissa and myself will all go back to the writing workshop cohort on February 3rd and 4th, and we will take any of your questions or concerns that we are not able to answer back with us. You will find a file on Common Drive and on Teams that compiles videos, resources, and other documentation that's going to better help you to incorporate mini lessons into your math workshop, into your writing workshop time. We thank you for your time, and we hope that you guys can find something useful from this lesson. Again, we hope that you're able to still remain true to the Bookworms writing program and to WriteScore, but while implementing mini lessons into your writers' workshops to fill the needs of students based on your assessments. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.